want some sauce?
Scene 1, Apple, take 1.
What's up, everybody? How's it going out there? So in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make these, and this is homemade bagels. Okay, now there's a few different ways that you can make bagels, but I'm going to show you the easiest way, the no-brainer way. Okay, we're not going to be using lye, and you don't have to let the first fermentation last for 8 to 10 hours, 24 hours, although you can. You don't have to. This will get you what you're looking for within just a few hours. If you have a mixer, it's not a lot of work. Okay, if you don't have a mixer, you're gonna be working a little bit. Okay, but if you got a mixer, you're golden, like that. So let's go ahead and get started making some of these homemade bagels. So got my mixer out here with the kneading hook. This is a little bit of sugar, maybe a half a tablespoon or something, I don't know, I just grabbed some. Here is a package of yeast. This is 2 cups of flour, okay. 1 cup of water, 2 cups of water. We're going to go ahead and stir this. Add a little bit of kosher salt. Going to be kind of scraping down the sides here, trying to get some of that flour off of there. About 3/4 of a cup of flour. We'll just make it a cup to thicken this up a little bit, because we want this to be like a really thick pancake batter at first. Yeah, we want it more like this for the first time around. Let's kind of get that over here. Okay, at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and remove the bowl. We're going to let this ferment. We're going to let the yeast get really active in there, eat some of the sugar. A few hours, maybe 2 hours, 4 hours. If you want to do it overnight, you can. If you do it overnight, it's going to increase the flavor of the bagel. Okay, if you do it 4 hours, it'll be fine. 8 hours will be good. I'm just going to let this do its thing for maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours. Okay, so it's been a little while. The yeast has gotten happy. So we're going to end up putting this back on. And we're going to put the rest of our flour back in. Well, not back in, but in. This is about a cup right here. Now, judging by how loose this looks, it tells me I need to add a little flour. Okay, so I'm going to add some. I added a little too much water at the beginning. I should have maybe only added, like I was mentioning earlier, about 1.5 cups, and instead I just did 2 cups. Not completely sure why I did that. It's not a big deal. I mean, it just means I'm going to end up having more dough. I'm going to have an extra bagel or 2. That's not bad, but what that tells me is I need to put just a little bit more inside here. Maybe another 1/4 cup. I definitely want it to be completely together. It's okay if it's a little sticky, but we want this to not be runny like it was earlier. So I'll turn the camera on in about 5 minutes. Okay, let's see how we're doing with this here. We want that gluten to be built up in this, so we want this to be really elastic. It's a little sticky, and that's okay. Yeah, I'm gonna call that good. So let me take this hook off. I'm just kind of pushing this down here. Get it kind of in a somewhat of a ball. Okay. We are going to let this proof now. So we're going to let this set for maybe an hour. But we want it to double in size for sure. And warm place is always best. It's a little cold here today, so it might take a little bit longer. But we're going to let the yeast do its magic, and as soon as the yeast is done popping this up, we're going to shape the bagels, and we're going to get ready to start cooking them. Okay, so we are going to get ready to start shaping our bagels here. This is just flour I'm setting down on my cutting board to kind of help prevent some sticking. This is what my dough looks like now that it has expanded, and I'm going to take this out and throw it on the cutting board here. During the time that I am getting ready to shape this, I am boiling some water and I've got some salt in it. But, what we want to do is we want to now separate this into somewhat equal portions. And also right now inside the oven I have a baking stone. You don't have to use a baking stone, you can use a baking sheet, okay? But I'm using a baking stone, and I have turned it on to 400 degrees. So what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of rolling these dudes up in a ball and setting them back on the cutting board. So during the time that I'm going to let these guys proof up a little bit, let me kind of move some of these kind of out of the way here. I'm going to take this one so I can show you another way to do this. So I'm going to take one of these and I'm going to elongate it. Something like that. Wrap it around my hand once, like brass knuckles. Roll it back and forth like this. Pull it off, set it down, okay? And that's one way that you can go about doing it. So once again, I'm elongating it, wrapping it around, pushing it here, and then rubbing this over the cutting board, like that, to bring that together. And then that's another way that you can do it. We need to make sure that we give these room so they can proof up. So I'm going to take a couple of these and I'm going to throw them on a paper plate just to make sure that there's plenty of room. When these proof up, I'm going to go ahead and do it now. What you can do is you can push down with your finger like that. Take a chopstick or something to expand the center hole, okay, for the bagel. Okay, so that's another way. So you can just push it. Okay, basically just cut the hole inside there, and that is the second way of making bagels. You can spend as much time as you want trying to make these look nice. At the end of the day, they're a bagel, right? So it is what it is. Okay, so let's go ahead and throw a couple of bagels in here. And got to be kind of delicate with them. And we want to cook these a couple of minutes on each side, pretty much just like a donut. But what you want to do is after you've got them cooked on one side for a couple of minutes, that's an ugly one, you want to give them a flip. And of course you can spend more time trying to make these things look perfect. So you'll see that these are proofing at the same time as they're cooking in here. And that's good. That's going to give some expansion. And you'll see that I'm also kind of crowding my pan a little bit. And in this particular case it's going to be okay, but I think on the next one I'm not going to do as many because I don't really want these to be square. I want them to be round. Okay, so what we're going to do is I have an egg wash down here. Let me just do this so you can kind of see what I'm doing. I also have some masa, but I mean cornmeal. Masa, I mean cornmeal is a little bit bigger grained, which is better. I'm just using masa because I don't have any cornmeal. The whole idea is we want something to kind of keep this a little elevated off of the off the baking stone, as well as we want something that's almost going to act as a lubricant in a way. Okay, so that way they don't stick to the cooking stone. And then we'll take the top, dip it in the egg, pull it out. That's going to end up giving this a nice sheen when it bakes. Throw the bottom into the masa or the cornmeal, and then this is going to end up going inside the oven on the baking sheet. And I'm going to do that to a bunch of these. I'm also going to end up doing the ugly side. You should always do down. Quite honestly, in this case, they're all ugly sides. so it's not going to make a difference. Now I can only bake so many at once, but what I can also do is, now that there is egg on the top of this, if I want to sprinkle like sesame seeds on some of these, I can. Okay. Or if you want to put pepper and onion, or it doesn't really make a difference. You can put whatever you want on here. And as mentioned before, you can use just a regular baking sheet. You don't have to use a stone. We're going to give those about 20 minutes. Alright, let's take the first batch out, and then we can put the second batch in. These should be, yeah, these are okay. And I'm going to be putting these on a cooling rack. And there you go, guys. There's my homemade bagels. And granted, they're not perfectly round and stuff, but you know something? If you want to spend the time to make them look perfectly round just for the sake of having them perfectly round, then more power to you. You know, and there's also another method of where they use lye when they end up making these. And you say, wow, that's strange. Well, a little bit, yeah, but they also use lye sometimes when they're making ramen noodles. So it is what it is. But this is essentially the base for all of it, and not too fancy, but it gets the job done. Whip out some cream cheese, a little bit of salmon, you're going to be good to go. But anyway, guys, that's that. Happy Friday, or Saturday if you're watching this on a Saturday. Screw it. If you're watching this on a Sunday or a Monday, happy Sunday and Monday too. But until next time, I will talk at you later.